Rapper and business mogul Sean Diddy Combs sued again by a woman claiming he sexually assaulted her when she was a teenager. And unlike the first time Combs was sued just a couple of weeks ago, this time he's coming out swinging, vehemently denying the allegation. The plaintiff in this new suit is staying anonymous, unlike a suit filed by Combs' ex, Cassie. Combs quickly settled that suit after a day for an undisclosed amount of cash, while quietly denying her claims. This lawsuit has the same trigger warning on it as Cassie's. In it, the Jane Doe claims she was sexually assaulted in 2003 by Combs and two other men. At that time, the woman was in the 11th grade and just 17 years old. The suit claims Jane Doe lived in Detroit, and Combs' team flew her to New York, where photos show her in his studio. Jane Doe claims Combs and his friends gave her drugs and alcohol and raped her. She offers intimate details about things she claims Combs needed or demanded during the assault. Then, after Combs was finished, Jane Doe claims he watched others sexually assault her. She claims she was choked and struggled to breathe while a man named Harvey Pierre forced her to perform oral sex. For Diddy's part, he says individuals are simply looking for a quick payday and, quote, enough is enough. Combs tweeted, "For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth." This is actually the fifth lawsuit filed against Combs in 3 weeks. Still, the big question, will these allegations prompt a closer look by the NYPD or even the feds? Transporting a minor over state lines for sex is a crime. Combs' lawyer, Ben Brafman, quickly turned down our request for an interview or a comment earlier today. So, stay tuned. I'm Angenette Levy. It's Thursday, and this is Crime Fix, Law&Crime's rundown of the top stories in the world of crime. Up next, Donna Adenon, the Florida grandma accused of ordering the murder of her former son-in-law, wants a psychological evaluation and she wants out of jail. Adenon has filed a motion claiming the conditions are violating her rights and that jail guards actually joked about her being, quote, a fancy white lady who thinks she actually has rights. Adenon claims she had no access to silverware, clothes, or toiletries while in isolation at the Miami-Dade County Jail. And on the ride from Miami to Tallahassee, she claims she was dehydrated, shaking, and that paramedics actually had to be called to a rest stop to check on her. Joel Waldman, who is the host of the Surviving the Survivor podcast, has followed the case closely.
The content of it didn't really surprise anyone because it's essentially the lawyer representing Donna Adenon saying, hey, jail's not what Donna expected it to be. She's not getting silverware. She's got a dirty blanket, among a long litany of other things. And at the end, we find out that they're basically petitioning the court to have her remanded back to home under home arrest. And I've talked to legal experts, and there's just absolutely no way that's ever happening. And the reason that's not happening is she tried to bolt and flee the country. She's a flight risk. She bought a one-way ticket to Vietnam via Dubai, tried to get on that plane with her husband, but she was stopped once she got onto the jetway. She was almost home free, but there were eyes on her. She was arrested, so there is no way she's going back home. She's got to adjust to life in jail.
Now, Joel's absolutely right. There's no way a judge is going to grant this motion for house arrest. Also, Donna Adenon, according to prosecutors, talked about taking her own life on jail calls with Charlie after his conviction. Donna's lawyer calls the case against her circumstantial at best. Donna is accused of being the puppet master in the grand conspiracy to murder Dan Markel so she could have her grandsons closer to her in Miami. Donna Adenon will be back in court next week. At that time, the judge will consider this emergency motion. Doomsday Cult Mom Lori Vallow was back in court today, this time in Arizona, for the murder of her ex-husband, Charles Vallow, and the attempted hit on her niece's ex. The judge entered not guilty pleas on Vallow's behalf. She's accused of conspiring with her now dead brother, Alex Cox, to murder Charles back in 2019, and she's accused of working with Alex to try to shoot Brandon Boudreaux, who thankfully survived the attempted murder. Vallow and her current husband believed people were, quote, dark as part of their extreme Mormon faith. Vallow will be back in court next month. A judge in Ohio tells a woman she can work at a fast food restaurant to serve less jail time after she threw food in the face of a Chipotle employee. And first, you have to see this video. It's absolutely unbelievable. There you can see Rosemary Haynes standing at the counter, and she's basically yelling at the cashier for nearly a minute. Then she tosses that burrito bowl right in her face. This happened last September in Parma, outside of Cleveland. And recently, Haynes learned her punishment from Parma Municipal Court Judge Tim Gilligan. The sentence has grabbed headlines. Even my boss has been talking about it on his show.
It's unique. I gave her 180 days in jail, which is the maximum sentence. And of that, I suspended 90 days. I gave her the option, and it's her option. If she says, hey, I'm not working at a fast food place, I accept those terms, and she's remanded and does 90 days in jail. But if she wants to shave off 60 of those days, I thought, why not take this opportunity to have her learn how people should be treated, how you should react, and the appropriate response to that type of situation. And that can be best learned by placing her in the shoes of her victim.
What message did you think needed to be sent with this sentence?
Just that it's absolutely unacceptable behavior. If you don't like something, decline to accept it. Ask to speak to a manager, send an email. But there's so much of this reality TV on that I think people think this is how people should behave. And it is absolutely not.
Haynes expressed remorse during the sentencing hearing, but Judge Gilligan didn't buy it.
Those cameras weren't rolling because Taylor Swift just walked into the joint. Those cameras were on because she made such a scene and wanted to be such a bully. And this was the second occasion she walked in there. And she made it absolutely clear to everybody in the place that she was going to be a bully and abuse and put on a show. That's why those cameras were rolling.
Get this, that store employee was actually so traumatized, she quit her job. A self-described Satanist is facing even more time in a California prison after authorities say he stabbed Paul Flores at Pleasant Valley State Prison. Flores was convicted of killing college student Kristen Smart. According to reports, Jason Boudreaux, who is also a convicted murderer, slashed Flores in the neck with some sort of homemade weapon. Flores was airlifted to a medical center. Boudreaux is already in prison for life, but could get another 27 years to life. While prosecutors didn't say exactly why Boudreaux tried to kill Flores, he was previously convicted of killing cellmate Roger Kibbe, a serial killer known as the I-5 Strangler. Boudreaux reportedly carved a pentagram into Kibbe's body. Flores is serving a 25 to life sentence for murdering Kristen Smart back in 1996 when they were both students at Cal Poly. This next story will definitely make you want to swipe left. There's a woman in jail in Miami-Dade County in Florida accused of trying to set her date on fire. Destiny Johnson was arrested earlier this week. Police say she met a man at a hotel in the middle of November. They smoked some weed and everything seemed fine. Then the next time they met, the man told detectives that Johnson, who went by Tiny on Tinder, showed up at his car with a gas can and asked for money to fix her car. The man didn't like being called and asked to just shell out some cash, but gave her $60 anyway to help her out. Then he said Johnson became irate, threw gas on him, and then he was on fire. Johnson faces an attempted murder charge. A fertility doctor has surrendered his medical license after one of his patients claimed she had proof that he used his own sperm to inseminate her. A California woman says she was a patient of Dr. Christopher Hernan in California when he was a fellow in training in 2009. She says she selected sperm from the same donor as her first child, and the procedure was successful. But when both of her children's DNA was later tested, they didn't have the same biological father. She put the info into an ancestry tracking service and boom, a familial connection that had the last name Herndon. That person turned out to be Christopher Herndon's sibling. Now that he's surrendered his license in Washington, Herndon can never renew it or reinstate it there. You just cannot make some of this stuff up. And that's it for Crime Fix on this Thursday, December 7th, 2023. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with us. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great night.